I was actually at a kid's birthday party. I was holding my daughter. The boys were running around and I just felt really poorly, really suddenly. So I handed my little girl to a friend and I went to the toilet. And I don't know whether I thought I was going to be sick or whatever. I just knew something was really wrong.
Sally B is telling me about a summer's day in 2004 when she was 36 years old.
Then I came back out and collapsed on the floor. And all my friends tried to help me, but they didn't know what was going on. I had recently watched an episode of ER where someone was having a panic attack and they bought them a bag to breathe into. But someone actually bought me a packet of cheese and onion crisps, which didn't really have the desired effect.
Sally is an author, a coach, a motivational speaker.
And I do TV presenting and cooking and bit of everything, really, jack of all trades.
But first and foremost, she calls herself a survivor.
I just remember the pain absolutely tearing through my chest. And the ambulance came. And by then, because my breathing was so forced and I was panicking, I suppose, my hands went all crunched up and I couldn't open my hands. And so the ambulance guys presumed I was having a panic attack. And I was trying to explain, well, I am panicking now, but it didn't start that way.
Sally was taken to Warwick Hospital and sent home that same evening with medication to treat indigestion.
Then a couple of days later, ended up back in hospital with the same chest pain, was given an ECG. And a student nurse saw the ECG and she was like, oh my goodness, this is saying you're having a heart attack. So she called the cardiologist down. So I had 3 cardiologists standing around my bed, all of them saying, now look, this ECG is telling us you're having a heart attack, but we actually don't believe it because you're 36, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you're not overweight, and you don't have any family history of heart attacks.
Sally tells me one of the cardiologists, they were all men, by the way, said he would bet her £1 million that she wasn't having a heart attack. But she was. And if Sally had been diagnosed sooner, her heart might have ended up being less damaged. I'm Caroline Criado Perez, and this is Visible Women, my new weekly podcast from Tortoise, investigating how we finally fix a world designed for men. In this episode, I'm actually not just looking at heart attacks. I'm looking at bias in healthcare and whether the emerging use of AI means it's about to get a lot worse. I start off this episode with all sorts of ideas about how to fix bias in AI, but by the end, as you'll hear, I realised that maybe I was approaching this all wrong. This was an episode that really forced me to reevaluate my thinking. Oh, and if you're the cardiologist that owes Sally £1 million, get in touch. I'll get you her bank details. It turns out that Sally has a condition called spontaneous coronary artery dissection, or SCAD. SCAD has, until fairly recently, been thought of as a rare condition. But some cardiologists now think it's actually been historically underdiagnosed. It's the most common cause of heart attacks in women under the age of 40, as well as in women who are either pregnant or have recently given birth. And more than 90% of SCAD patients are female. The thing that's so shocking about Sally's story is that it's about more than just the fact that her symptoms weren't taken seriously, although that's bad enough. It's that 12 years later, it happened all over again.
So I was older. I knew all about my condition by then. I had my ECG laminated up on the fridge. I had a cardiologist letter up on the fridge. I knew what I had to do in an emergency. I understood how dangerous it was. And then I woke up in the morning and that pain just hit me again and I knew exactly what it was.
This was in 2016, by the way.
We phoned the ambulance, they came, and they wouldn't take me seriously at all. So the paramedic that came said it could just be angina, it could be menopause. Lots of women your age get chest pain. and he wanted to take me to the little local hospital where I live. And I said, no, I have to go to the big hospital with cardiology. He wouldn't listen and he wouldn't take me. I was crying. I was sobbing, not from pain, although I was in pain, but from frustration.
The paramedic did an ECG to check Sally's heartbeat, but she knew the equipment he was using wouldn't pick up her kind of heart attack. Sally explained this to him, but it didn't help. Her husband ended up phoning her cardiologist.
And even my cardiologist was almost begging this paramedic, no, please, you must take her to the bigger hospital. And he still was arguing. So it took 20 minutes for this paramedic to say, oh, all right then, we'll take you to the further hospital. And that could have been the last 20 minutes of my life.